What comes to mind when I say cheerleading? I'm sure you think of the girls on the sidelines at football games or maybe even basketball games that yell, "Go team," and do a few cartwheels, right? For some high schools and even colleges, this is what their cheer squad consists of, but this is not what cheerleading has become. I am here to tell you that cheerleading has evolved and now involves girls and even guys completely defying the laws of physics and pushing limits every single day. Yet when cheerleading is mentioned, it is considered an extracurricular activity, not a sport. Cheerleading takes the utmost skill and non-stop physical activity with jumps, flips, and stunts that puts their lives in danger with every trick. Now, when I say jump, I mean jumping into the air while pulling their legs above their heads. When I say flip, I mean flipping upside down with no hands and adding a few spins in the middle. And when I say stunts, I mean girls balancing on top of each other in layers. If people could fully grasp just what cheerleading is and steer away from the stereotypes, it can be seen on the same level as any other sport. Today, I hope you can learn about cheerleading and realize it is so much more than an activity with short skirts and ponytails, but it is a real sport through and through. First, I want to share the definition of a sport according to Oxford Dictionary. It states, a sport is defined as an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against each other or other for entertainment. The first part of this definition states that a sport is that of which involves physical exertion and skill. There is no question whether cheerleading involves physical exertion, as cheerleaders are performing stunts, flips, and jumps while screaming the words to their chant or cheer. Here I have a pair of shoes. One is a cheer shoe and the other is a cleat. They both have wear and tear on every surface, whether it's running up and down a football field, around the bases, or on a 1.5-inch cheer mat. The physical exertion is just the same. Regarding the portion of the definitions that discusses skill, imagine the coordination it would take for your own body to jump backwards upside down without your hands and do a full complete twist before landing back on your feet. Then connect multiple of these flips together and call it tumbling. The second part of the definition states that a sport consists of an individual or team competing against each other for entertainment. The largest high school and collegiate cheer competition in the country is hosted by the Universal Cheer Association, or UCA. Teams compete for the title of national champion. This competition, according to Varsity, is nationally televised on ESPN to over 100 million homes nationwide. Yet cheerleading is not considered a sport with the others broadcasted on this sports network. Because of this, cheerleading does not get the same regulations for safety as a deemed sport does. The definition of a sport pertains to cheerleading directly when considering the factors involved and what makes cheerleading more than an activity like chess or video games. Injury rates and scoring techniques are of interest to those who do not consider cheerleading a sport. According to an article published by Live Science, cheerleading accounted for 65.1% of all catastrophic injuries among females over the past 25 years. This statistic was provided in the National Center for Catastrophic Injuries Research. This statistic is astounding. Cheerleading does not get the proper safety precautions taken as sports do when it is far more dangerous. Yet they are the ones putting their lives in danger every time they choose to flip upside down or throw each other into the air. When football players tackle, the referees are breathing down their necks, making sure they don't grab each other's face mask. Or in baseball, the umpires pay close attention to make sure they don't slide with their cleats in the right position to scrape the leg of another player. Cheerleaders, though, build towering pyramids on the pavement of sidelines or at the football games without pads or mats. Cheerleaders only get the privilege of using mats when they are in a local gym or at an organized competition. In a study performed by a professor of exercise and sports science at the University of North Carolina, stated that support for cheerleaders is not keeping up with the spectacular and dangerous routines they are performing. Because of this, cheerleaders still practice without the proper safety equipment and proper surfaces. Injury rates will continue to skyrocket if people choose to stay blind to the fact that cheerleading is extremely dangerous. Don Comstock, a professor at the Colorado School of Public Health, states that his theory is that if cheerleading was considered a sport, it would make it safer for the cheerleaders. This would give them a designated space to practice with the right equipment. He believes that injury rates are so high and so catastrophic because the injuries of cheerleaders occur on tile, asphalt, gym floor, or grass. If injury rates and the overall danger aspect of cheerleading isn't enough to make people understand that cheerleading is a sport, the scoring method should do it. For a cheer competition, each cheer squad performs a routine in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They are judged during this time period from the time they walk on the stage based on stunts, tumbling, jumps, the synchronization of the full routine, and so much more. This scoring method is put forth by the United States All-Star Federation and followed every competition. These girls and sometimes guys are put to the test mentally and physically during these few minutes. My point is that cheerleading competitions are not to be taken lightly, and they have an unbelievable amount of structure and methods to them. Squads must qualify to get to the ultimate competition I mentioned earlier, UCA Nationals. They are placed and receive banners, trophies, and medals for the place they receive. This sounds like any other sports championship or tournament or match, doesn't it? I believe the ultimate reason cheerleading is not seen as a sport is because people do not understand it. Cheerleaders are expected to cheer at so many sporting events or charity events. CNN published an article that looks into the lives of cheerleaders. The article stated that practice for most squads consists of practicing 3 to 4 hours 4 to 5 times a week. On top of competitions, cheerleaders still do the typical cheerleading duties at games and events. The schedule of a cheerleader is far more busy than any other sport, as they have to attend games of each sport and make time for their own, getting ready for a major competition. In conclusion, I do believe people should be more educated about cheerleading and what it actually involves. It just takes time, but I think it's been long enough. The injuries are just going to keep piling up if proper precautions aren't taken. The stereotypes need to be diminished, and it must be accepted that cheerleading is so much more than an activity. I hope you have a new appreciation for cheerleaders and what they do. Next time you think of cheerleading, you think of what the sport is, not the activity which it is considered.